This episode of Bear With Me is produced by CENTCOM Entertainment.
What's up? Thanks for bearing with me. I am Herb Howard. The Chicago Bears just dropped their game to the LA Chargers at home 17-16 in an absolutely devastating defeat in what was essentially a must-win game for the Bears. And if I were not a foolish Bears fan, I would tell you that for all intents and purposes, their season is over. They have no chance of really making to the playoffs and certainly not of winning a Super Bowl. But I am a foolish Bears fan, so I'll give you some perspective for why it may not be all over here just in a little while. But first, oh my God, did he really miss that kick? Did he really miss that kick? I was so ready to come on and talk to y'all about all the positive things and how it's okay about the negative things. All we had to do was pull out the victory and the formula was right and we had good balance and we stuck to the run and yada, yada, yada. But he missed the kick and it changes everything. Not only did he miss that kick, he missed the earlier kick. That's two kicks in the Bears' biggest game of their season. Now, I know you had the big kick out in Denver in the game winner, but that's week 2. It's in the high altitude, and that was by no means, even though we had lost the opener, a must-win game. This, however, at week 8 in the season, was a must-win game, and Eddie Piñeiro came up woefully short, missing 2 field goals in a closely contested game, ultimately costing the Bears an opportunity at a victory. And now as they stand, they are 3-4, and the prospects for making the playoffs or having a deep run in it look very, very slim at this point. But let's get into the game because it was an entertaining game to watch. There was a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of things we need to get through. So let's discuss what actually took place in the game. First of all, on the very first drive for the Chicago Bears offensively, I thought that Matt Nagy threw a temper tantrum, right? He came out and he wanted to show, hey, we're going to be committed to the run. We're going to establish the run early and often, which was a good thing, right? We were being successful with the run. We had some good runs going, show that we were committed to the run early in the game. But then he foolishly chose to stick with the run on 2nd and 12. And to me, that was just saying, hey, y'all been criticizing me all week about run the ball. I'm going to run the ball now. 2nd and 12, and that pretty much killed that drive. And I truly thought it was a petty move, an immature, attitudinal move by Matt Nagy to run that ball on 2nd and 12 of the opening drive. I thought it was just to respond to all of the critics saying that they need to run the ball more after they only ran it 7 times, a franchise low in 100 years last weekend. Speaking of killing drives, Rashad Coward, and I'm very I admire his ascent on this roster, going from having switched positions from the D-line over to the offensive line. And he's now ascended to the point where he is the person who they chose to replace Cal Long after he went down instead of veteran Ted Larson. And so I applaud Rashad Coward's ability to ascend through the roster and get to the position that he is. But he had 2 false start penalties in the first half, and you simply cannot have that. You can't have him having 2 false start penalties in the first half. He has to be better than that. I know the Bears clearly like him. I think he can play better than that, but 2 false start penalties in the first half, those are drive killers, especially when you have an offense that needs to have everything right. We need to be on schedule. We need to get 3rd and short, 3rd and manageable. And when you have those types of penalties, those can really be drive killers. Rashad Coward had 2 of those in the first half. He also had a holding penalty later in the game that was quite costly as well. But I do want to credit Matt Nagy and the entire Bears offense for sticking to the run. They showed a willingness to actually stick to the run. And it's not like they were tearing it up. We talked about it in the pregame. They didn't have to have big runs. They simply had to be willing to stick to the run, be committed to it, allow themselves an opportunity to win the time of possession battle, allow the defense to sit on the sideline, rest and communicate so that they can come back on the field and dominate as we know they are capable of. And Matt Nagy chose to stick to the run. And as we said, if you stick to it, it may not hit early. 1, 2 yards, 3 yards early, and then boom, you'll pop that big one. We saw David Montgomery go for 55 yards. That's kind of how it goes. Before you hit that 55-yard, you take that 55-yard runaway, the Bears were only averaging a little over 2 yards per rush on 17 carries, but they still chose to stick to it, be committed to the run game. They got to 17 carries, and then boom, you get to 18. He hits a 55-yarder, and that raises your average up to over 5 yards a carry. So that's kind of how it goes. You're not going to get 5 yards on every carry. Sometimes you're going to get the ones and the twos, but then you get the big ones to kind of make up for that on the back end. And if we're going to talk about Matt Nagy for not being committed to the run previously, we have to acknowledge the fact that he was willing to run the ball and be committed to it and stick to it throughout this game. I thought that was very, very helpful, not only for the offense. The offense went over 300 yards total for the first time this season. The first time this season we've had over 300 total yards of offense, and that is absolutely in large part due to the fact that we were able to run the ball. You saw David Montgomery have his first 100-yard game of his career. You're going to have to be able to stick with that run. That'll open up some of those play action passes. You saw Anthony Miller able to get behind the defense a couple of times, hit him for some wide open throws. Those will create your big plays if you're willing to stick to the run, and I commend Matt Nagy and the Chicago Bears offense for being willing and able to stick to the run. Even though it wasn't going for big plays early, they understood that it would create an opportunity for big plays later, both in the running game and in the passing game. The other thing that happens, though, when you stick to the run, is that you allow the defense to rest. They're on the sideline, they get to rest, they get to watch the film, they get to look at some cut-ups, they get to communicate about, hey, what did you see, what did I see, what did the coaches see, and they come back on the field ready to dominate. If this defense is rested and they're ready to come on the field, they're going to dominate every single time. They are that good of a defense, even without Akiem Hicks. Now, they certainly can't be that all-time great defense that we hope they could be without Akiem Hicks, but they can still be one of the top defenses in this league. Without him, they just need to be able to rest. They need to be able to communicate, come back on that field fresh and ready to go. And when you run the ball, and listen, if the offense is able, the Bears offense, if we're able to get 2-3 first downs on the drive, that's enough time for the defense to catch its breath, to communicate, be ready to go when they come back on the field. And so I understand this is not a very good offense. It just isn't, right? I would like for it to be. I think we have the weapons for it. When I look around the field and I see the Allen Robinsons and Taylor Gabriels, Anthony Millers, Trey Burtons and Montgomerys, Cohens, Pattersons, I see all these guys. I think that we have the pieces where we should be a good offense, but the fact of the matter is we simply are not. And so if we are not a good offense, then we have to be willing to take the wins where we can find them. That's the short passes, that's the running game, and the Bears showed a willingness to be able to do that and commit to those things early on in this football game, and it paid dividends for them later. It kept the defense on the sideline, able to come back on and do what they need to do. The problem was, though, defensively, in terms of trying to get those big plays, and they were able to turn the ball over a couple of times. We talked about it in the pregame. I predicted, let me pat myself on the back now. I predicted that Kyle Fuller would get an interception. He certainly was able to do that in the first half. He's an elite player when the game is in front of him. I always watch the game via a group chat with a group of friends. We call ourselves the board of Bears Fans Club, right? So we always texting through the game, and one of the board members said, I don't like the space that Kyle Fuller is giving off the snap. I want him to play closer. And I just said, listen, he is an elite player. Kyle Fuller is an elite player when he has the game in front of him. When the game is behind him, meaning when he's turning and running with the receiver, he's an above average player, but he's not an elite player. When he gets to back off, have the game in front of him, break on plays, he's an elite player because he can do everything that you need to do when the game's in front of you. He can come up and tackle with physicality. He can come up and make a play on the ball, whether that's a deflection or an interception. And so Kyle Fuller is very, very good with the game in front of him, and that's exactly how he was able to get that interception. It was good to see him get his hands on the ball. For some reason, I thought that he would get his hands on the football today, and he absolutely was able to do that. I want to talk about Khalil Mack because he was the other player that we mentioned in the pregame, saying that Khalil Mack needed to have a big game. He needed to be dominant out on the field and show himself to be the best football player on the field. He wasn't able to have any huge plays. He did have a sack, and he affects the game on every single snap. Khalil Mack is an absolute dominant player. He's not underachieving. He certainly isn't playing bad. But what's happening is when you don't have an Akiem Hicks, Khalil Mack is getting at least double teamed on every single play. Sometimes he's triple teamed, and that has to open up opportunities for those other guys. And you see Eddie Goldman getting some good pass rushes in. You saw Nick Williams apply a little pressure. Leonard Floyd has to be applying more pressure. Roy Robertson Harris was able to get in there as well, causing penalties. And so it's incumbent upon these other guys to be able to step up when Khalil Mack is getting all the attention that he rightfully commands. He's not going to see as many one-on-ones or double teams exclusively as he saw with Akeem Hicks. He's going to start to see double teams almost all the time and triple teams often enough. So those other guys are going to have to step up and win their one-on-one matchups. But he was able to apply some pressure, and we were able to get the turnovers and put the offense in pretty good position. Today's game was a game of missed opportunities. The offense had time after time after time, 5 trips into the red zone in the first half to come away with 9 points. That's unacceptable. You can't have that. You can't get 3 field goals out of that, 1 missed field goal. You have to find a way to punch it into the end zone. The defense set you up. Cal Fuller got the interception, took you down to the 4-yard line. We aren't able to get a touchdown. Once again, we got down to the 4-yard line, 1st and 4. We aren't able to get a touchdown. You have to be able to punch that ball across the goal line when you get it that close to the end zone. The Bears missed opportunities, and when you miss opportunities in this league, teams will come back and get you, especially teams with veteran quarterbacks like Phillip Rivers. If he only needs that one opportunity, it doesn't matter how he's played all game long. If he has one opportunity to go down and beat you, he's capable of doing that. And you gave him that opportunity by not shutting the door early, taking advantage of all of those trips to the red zone early, missing the field goals early. And this is absolutely a game where the Bears will look back and regret it. I believe at the end of their season, when they're sitting home from the playoffs, they're going to say, that was a game we should have had. That was a game we had to have. Whether you talk about the 2 missed field goals or the missed opportunities in the red zone, the Bears will greatly regret the missed opportunities from this game at home against the LA Chargers in Week 8. Now, told you earlier that there is still some reason for optimism, and it's hard to see. It's hard to see, but there is some reason for optimism. What did we find out about Matt Nagy today? He's willing to recognize when he's wrong. He's willing to say, okay, we do need to run the ball, or we have to be committed to it. And they were committed to the run. In fact, he was so committed to the run that he was stubbornly so early in the game when he ran the ball on 2nd and 12. Just as a little attitudinal move to me. I thought it was a little bit of a petty move from Matt Nagy, but he showed a willingness to be able to change his philosophy, stick to things that should work well for this particular team, running the ball, helping the defense. And that is a good thing for the Chicago Bears and the outlook of their season, that Matt Nagy is willing to say, okay, maybe I need to do some things differently. And he definitely did that today, and it benefited the Bears in the long run. Another good thing, Mitch Trubisky took off for a run, got a key first down for the Bears. He's going to have to be willing to use his legs. I know he had the separated shoulder, and he's come back from that, but that can't be an excuse. I saw him doing some RPOs, one in particular early in the game when he absolutely should have handed it to Tariq, and Tariq could have went around the left side, perhaps for a big gain. Mitch chose to keep it and run. He ended up getting tackled for no gain or maybe loss of 1 yard, so that the shoulder isn't hampering him from making those types of decisions. So when the play breaks down as a passing play, he has to be more willing to use his legs than get out there and make a play for this offense. That is one thing that he brings to the table that not a lot of other quarterbacks do better than he can do it, and he has to use that as a weapon for him going forward. If he does, you couple that in with the running game, the Bears should be able to do enough things to sustain drives. Once again, it's about sustaining drives. Every decision we make, we talked about this early in the season, has to be about helping the defense. And sustaining drives is the best way for this offense to help the defense. Mr. Trubisky can do that with his legs. The running backs can do that. Matt Nagy can do that with his play calling. If they continue to do that, the defense is going to continue to do their jobs, right? 17 points. We've been talking about since the beginning of the season. I know they had the 2 down weeks without Akeem Hicks, without any offensive efficiency. They had the 2 down weeks defensively, but we've been saying all season that 17 points will get you a win with this defense. We didn't get to 17. We lost today. 17-16. You have to be able to help this defense. It's all about the defense. And so if you can help the defense from the offensive side and from the special team side, that will give the Bears an opportunity to win the game. But it is just an opportunity. The other 2 sides of the ball, offense and special teams, they have to be perfect. The defense is going to hold the opposing offense. They're going to try to create turnovers. They're going to try to score points for you even. But if they don't get it in the end zone themselves, then they're dependent upon the offense and the special teams to go ahead and seal that deal for us. And the offense and the special teams, with 2 missed field goals and a lot of missed red zone opportunities, let the defense down today. Everybody needs to do their job. Offensive efficiency, give the defense some time to rest, communicate, be ready to go back on the field. They are going to do their job. But the offense and special teams, they have to be perfect. And I don't mean perfect in terms of every play is a good play, but when the opportunities come, you have to take advantage. You can't miss the big throws for big plays for touchdowns. You can't be fumbling the ball. You can't throw interceptions. You can't miss field goals. That's what I mean. You have to be perfect. When those opportunities present themselves, offensively and on special teams, the Bears have to take advantage of it, because that is the only way for them to support this defense. Everything we do has to be about the defense. It's a big if. Oh, such a big if. But if we're able to do that and play complementary football to this defense, it's not too late for the Bears to go on a run. Listen. The Bears are going to be in every single game that they play. Their defense is too good for them to not be in the game if the offense is does enough, right? We saw the Saints get out to a big lead, but the offense does just enough. The Bears are going to be in every single game. The defense is too good for us not to be. And so then we just have to be perfect in our execution when those opportunities come. And if we are, the Bears are capable of going on a big run. We have 4 losses, right? So theoretically, we can only take 2 more. 10-6, will that get you in the playoffs? We'll see, right? 11-5, you feel pretty good. 10-6, maybe, right? So at most, you can take 2 more losses. Can the Bears go on a run, right? There's 7 games into their season. They got 8 games left. Can the Bears go 7-2? Wait, how many games are we? We're 7 games to our season. We got 9 games left. Right? Can they go 7-2 down the stretch? And if they can, they have a chance to go to the playoffs, but they're going to have to play a lot better at all positions. That's offense, that's special teams, and it's even on defense. I know it looks pretty bad right now. It feels terrible. I cannot believe he missed that kick. I cannot believe that he missed that kick. But he did, and the Bears are 3-4. The LA Chargers come to Soldier Field and beat the Bears 17-16. We'll talk about it again tomorrow after we hear all the post-game interviews and get all the stats and recap the game. We'll talk about it again. But for now, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Bear With Me. My name is Herb Howard. Please like, share, leave your comments. All I want to do is talk Bears football with Bears fans. So if you like the video, share with some other Bears fans. We can continue to grow this conversation. Thanks for watching.